everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Divine Awakenings. And today I've got another amazing guest that said yes to come on my channel to really share their beautiful journey and their divine awakenings that's really set them on the path to stepping into their purpose and doing absolutely amazing work right now on the planet and for their community. And I've had the pleasure of joining her courses, and it's been an absolute game changer in my life, and I know it's going to be the same for many. And this conversation is just going to really bring insight and inspiration and awareness to you, and how you can really navigate the changes that are happening right now in our body and outside of our body and just on the planet as a whole. And so, Khareela, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for you saying yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored and happy to be here.
Yeah, it's honestly, and you are, you're a woman with many hats. I would like to say you don't just do one thing, and so you're the founder of Starlight Temple. You're a channel, you're a space holder, you do land tantra, shadow healer, an alchemist, a high priestess of tantra, and there's so many things that you do, and I'm in awe because you're also here and everywhere. And when I say that, you're never in one place. It's like, where is Khareela today? Oh, she's in Egypt, or she's in Bali, or it's like, I asked you when we first came on, it's like, are you in Brighton now, or where are you? So it's amazing that you're able to hold and do so much, and there's reasons why you're able to do that because of the amount of work that you've done on yourself and you've embodied. And because of that, you're able to help other people do the same, which is, and I've noticed that in my own life, the more work I do and the practicality of that and applying that, the more things I can navigate. And people are like, how do you do it? And it's an evolution, isn't it? And so, but we have to apply. And we'll get into all of that. But one thing I want to open up to with you is, like, what is your connection to that which they call the divine, God, creator, universe? How would you kind of say your relationship or connection is? How does that play out for you?
That's a really powerful first question.
I go deep.
For me, the deeper I go into my spiritual practice, the more God or the divine becomes the beloved and becomes, I guess, what Rumi or the great Sufi masters describe as God. And God is truth. God is the light of truth, and the experience of love being realized.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a powerful question, isn't it? And I'm always interested to see, because everybody has their own interpretations of what God is or the divine, and I love that God is the truth, and we all have many different truths, right? Because it's all about our perspective. And so, would you say that there's all of our perspectives on truth, but there is ultimately just the one truth, which is the creator or the divine? Or what's your perspective on that?
So I would say that everybody's truth is the truth, and everybody's truth is like one of the stars that lights up the sky of truth, and we need all of the stars for us to understand the full truth. And so it's not that there is one truth that is right, it's that our collective truths lived like stars in the great sky of love is the manifestation of God through us.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that makes sense because we all have a piece of the puzzle that we bring, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, spirituality is the practice of finding out what your truth is.
Mm, yes, not someone else's.
And we can absolutely be inspired and taught and all of these things, but ultimately a spiritual life to me is about how do you know your truth and embody it so that you become one of those stars in the great sky of truth.
And how did you, so let's rewind then. So how did you get on this is a great segue. So how did you get on your path to finding your truth? How did that happen for you? Was it always there when as a child, or is it something that you've built, or that inner knowing? Yeah.
I so I would say I got into spirituality because fairly young. I was about 16 when I started to get into self-help. And really it was, as it is with most people, I was in crisis and I was like, I need to figure out how to be happy, otherwise I'm going to kill myself. Like,
Mm.
and so I started to get into self-help, and self-help tends to lead into spirituality. And so I didn't really have an awakening in the way some people have really cool, amazing stories, whereas mine was just a lot of hard work. Mine was a lot of study and a lot of learning and a lot of a lot of commitment, really. And so there were obviously moments, many moments that were breakthroughs and stuff, but it was kind of a slow burn for me. I just got into self-help and then got into spirituality and then met channels and then wanted to learn how to channel. And you mentioned at the beginning all of the things that I do and which I do, but really I do them all because I channel. All of them are channeled. And so channeling was huge for me in terms of getting onto my path, at least. But even that wasn't glamorous. I met channels. I wanted to learn how to channel, and I learned. So it was very unglamorous, unlike cosmic in that sense, you know.
And I think sometimes there's this huge divine awakening, and it's extravagant. My experience is based kind of similar to yours. It's like it's that commitment, it's that devotion, it's like the everyday showing up and going in, doing the work and applying what you know, right? And cleaning out our bodies, and fasting's been a big part of my life. And so we all come in different ways, but it isn't always glamorous, and we all think it's rainbows and unicorns. And so the truth of it, it's not. Would you agree?
I, you know, there's an element of so much magic and rainbows and unicorns, and the further you go in the pursuit of truth, the more in awe you are of the miracles and wonder that the universe is. And yet in the living of magic, it comes with responsibility. Power does. All of these things that we seek, embodying God does. Embodying truth does. And then in the West, we're very conditioned towards the instantaneous and Amazon and quick fixes, and we're actually my truth is that it's the discipline and the practice and the showing up daily, and spirituality involves crying a lot and getting muddy a lot. It's very, very unglamorous, and very humbling a lot of the time. And one of the things that I firmly believe, and I think that's partly why my path with awakening was the way it was, you know, the energy body is no different than the physical body, in the sense that the health of it and the skill of it it's muscular. And if you exercise and if you practice, you get good at it. And if you don't, you're not going to get as good as somebody that is. And you know, the energy world and the physical world, that the laws are the same. So if you want to get good at something like channeling, mostly it's practice. And the people I know that are the best channels, they may have had magical awakenings and affirmations, but what made them masters is they geeked out and they practiced.
Yeah. And this is what you taught in your latest program, Body Love Soul Code, which I've never joined a program and felt it in my body like a full, yeah, it's like to do something. And then the next day, the energy of the program channeled through me, cheering me on, saying thank you for saying yes. It was it was honestly, that energy of the body love field was just like, they were so happy that I'd signed up. And I was like, I never would have been able to have held this level of like teaching or insight or wisdom maybe a year and a half ago. I probably wasn't ready for it. So I think you have to be at a point where you're ready to hold it, because, and you may see some people may drop off halfway through or towards the end. But it was really powerful. And what was different about this body love compared to other ones you've done?
So body love was something that I was in Japan. I was in Mount Fuji, and I was in meditation, and so I wasn't channeling, because meditation and channeling are different. And suddenly the guides came to me and they said to me, do you want to know why all of the spiritual work and energy work isn't showing up in the 3D? And I was like, yes. And they said, it's because you haven't changed it in on the habitual level. So they started to download, and they showed me that there was all of this work being done on the what's called the shadow level, the subconscious, all of this work being done on the light level. And they were like, but you're not doing the change in the body, in the everyday rituals of the body. And so, and they said where you need to make these changes is in the habitual places of the body, such as eating, resting, exercising, and beauty. And so I came back to England, and it was an eclipse window, and I was like, I want to work on this in the eclipse window. And we did just one on each during the 2-week period of the eclipse window. And it was so profound and so phenomenal that I decided that we needed to dedicate more time to each. And so Body Love ran for a couple of years. That was very much about tending to the rituals of the body, which it's amazing when you actually drop into the Body Love teachings, how you can have done so much work, and yet in the rituals of the body, you can be playing out trauma every single day, that you're not conscious of it, but you're not unconscious of it. It's just this this liminal place within you where it all hangs out. And it was truly profound, those body loves, and I'm sure that type of body love will be on again. But the body love you did, the guide said, was a very specific process that almost wasn't going to be called body love, because even though it includes those 4 rituals, it included other things. And it was dedicated really to how do we use the everyday rituals of the body to move out of survival mode and into soul code mode. And I mean, for me, it was a profound, you know, my guide said before it, they were like, it's the most important thing you will do this summer. And I didn't believe them. And it was, it was the most important thing that I did that summer, in spite of all the land work and everything else I was doing at that time. And so,
Yeah, it was powerful. And I love the way they started it with the safety. The first one was safety week, because it was like the foundations, wasn't it? We needed that to even get to the next stages. It was, did the guides like tell you which week needed to be what then? So you,
yeah, so they told me the themes of the weeks in advance. And I obviously knew 4 of them because 4 of them belonged to the old body love. But they didn't really tell me anything else, and they wouldn't, you know, because I'm best at channeling when I don't know too much. So otherwise my ego gets in the way. And yeah, for me, starting with safety, and for anybody listening, I would say that what the guide said is they were like, if you don't want to be in survival mode, then you need to have daily rituals that let your system know you're safe. And for me, that was such a big, like, duh moment. I was like, of course we need daily rituals for safety. How are we, if we're not cultivating safety in our everyday, then no wonder our nervous systems are like prepared for us not to be safe. And one of the things that was so precious to me that came out of So Code, that I still do, was the guide said, the first thing that you do before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you brush your teeth, before you do anything else, go outside and put your bare feet on the earth and smell the earth and let your nervous system plug in to Mother Earth. And they explain that, you know, whatever you start your day with is what it's like, setting where your nervous system goes to for the rest of the day. And so that is the way to really go 0 point for safety, you know, really go, I am held, I'm loved, I'm in abundance, the earth and the beauty is here. And since they said that, I've only done, I think, 4 days where I didn't do it. And I significantly noticed that I was more wired and more stressed and more all sorts of things. That, you know, it has had such a big impact on me, that particular ritual. And it's also been amazing because I've been doing it in many different countries since they said it. So I've been smelling Bali, smelling England, and smelling Egypt, and noticing what it's like to plug into those different places. Has also been, it's made the start of my day very beautiful.
and it's such a simple thing to do, like just go outside and put your feet, like anybody can do that, like a small bit of grass or anything. And Yeah.
And, you know, I've told people about it that live, you know, my friend who I made a video about it, and she lives in a high rise in Canada. And what she's done is she's gone and got a grounding box. So she's now got a flower bed or a flower pot that is enough to put her feet in, and is growing grass in it. And it's like it's like her at home grounding box. But yeah, it's so simple. But for anybody that is, you know, these times are highly distressing for our ancestral system. And our ancestral systems are not built for what we have to hold next. They're not built for rapid change that we're about to go through. And my guides have gone as far as to say that the nervous system is the reason that physical ascension has failed in the past.
Wow.
And that so much of the work that they are channeling at this time is how to get the nervous system into a state that means it doesn't buckle or reject or sabotage our ascension. And anything that you can do, especially things that are simple and that are, because the everyday is where the work needs to happen. And so when it's simple and every day, we can do it every day. You know, I couldn't necessarily commit to walking to a park every morning, especially not with the lifestyle that I lead, where I'm in a different country all the time. But I can get outside, you know, I can get just out in front of whichever place I am, and I can smell the earth wherever I am, and that doesn't take very long. And I think that's one of the things that's really important in the living of our ascension, is how can we do things in a way that doesn't require us to do what the ascended masters of the past did, which was go away for 10 years study.
Yeah.
You know, we have to learn it in the everyday of our lives, and anything that resonates and is helpful for that is just so good, you know.
Yeah, it's like these practices have been adapted, you know, for the times that we're in now, for the modern, you know, society where distractions are rife and things like that. And you talked about rapid change that we're going through. What are you seeing in terms of this rapid change?
So I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling it, and I'm experiencing it. I would call it the physical rebirthing of the new earth, inside and outside of us. Which it's many things. It's the, you know, the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius are actual things in the sense that the sun was aligned with Pisces for 2000 years, and you know, the sun is truth, and so whatever the sun shines through is, you know, that's what filters our perception and our truth and our reality. And it is fact that the sun's alignment is moving away from Pisces and into Aquarius. And so that filter is changing. And then, of course, from a channeling point of view, we understand about the 3D and the 5D. And from a land tantra point of view, I had a really big breakthrough last year where, you know, the guides have often spoken, not just through me, many guides have spoken about new earth, new earth, new earth. And I suddenly understood that new earth is literal, that the soils of the old reality are not the soils of the new reality. And so how do we create new soil? And there's kind of two ways that new soil gets created. It gets created from humans being in ceremony, because our consciousness, you know, our shadow, our consciousness is soil. Or it gets recreated Gaia's way with earthquakes and volcanoes, and it's kind of up to us as to whether we do the ceremony or it ends up being done in the other way. And so, but in terms of rapid change, I you know, just think how far we've come since even 2012. You know, how sometimes it's easy to look at everything that's wrong in the world, and yet when I think of how much more ceremony I see, how much more community I see, how much more willingness for something different, how much more of everything that represents the age of Aquarius and the new earth compared to what was just 12 years ago. It's rapid, you know. We are going through a recoding of that is in our DNA and in our consciousness and in our frequency that is similar to a caterpillar when they become a butterfly, that their DNA actually melts, it becomes something else in the cocoon, and in a way they have to surrender the caterpillar in order to become the butterfly. And in this life we are doing that. There's plenty of lives where you're just a farmer. Not that there's anything wrong with being a farmer, but there's plenty of lives where you are you from, you know, the change isn't actually that much. You experience life as a young person, a middle-aged person, and an old person. This life is not that. This life is you experience the crossing of ages within your own DNA.
And so would you say that we have to kind of like we're being called to go within and do the work because things are changing so rapidly that we kind of need to keep up with it? Or and what if we don't do the work?
So doing the work is the easier way. It's just like if you ignore the body, eventually the body's gonna do the process for you. The process is going to happen, but the easier and the more beautiful way for the process to happen is for us to do the work. And also, you know, we are the ceremonialists of the earth. Human beings are, our collective role is to be in ceremony. That is why ceremony crosses every culture, all of history. And, you know, the bees are doing their role, they're pollinating. Us not doing our role is causing the world to be out of balance. And it's a time where she really needs us. And so, and here's the other thing. because this is the crucial time, and it really is, from an astrological point of view, from a channeled point of view, wherever you look, wherever you want to go, the 2012 period to now, and then now to 35 is the pivotal moment. And if you are alive today, it's because you're the best player. Like, they don't put the interns on the team of the most important game. They put the people that are most experienced, that are masters, on the front line of something like that. And so the fact you're alive means that whatever you came here to do for Gaia, you are a master of, not just in this lifetime, across the dimension. And you're needed. And that's why you should do the work. You know, it's like, imagine you got the best player, not that I watch much football, but like the best striker is like, sorry, I'm getting drunk in the pub.
Not today.
Not today. It's today.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a planet of alchemy. We and medicine. And at a time like this, souls are ecstatic because the level of karma and ancestry, and you know, it's got that metamorphosis magic, which it doesn't normally have. And so the growth of the soul in a life like this, if you do the work, is so valuable. And at the same time, there's nothing, yes, there's all of this benefit to you and soul, and at the same time, it's also just a privilege and an honor to be of service.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there just comes such a level of like peace as well. And when you start really like doing the work and actually really applying it, because we can get in the trap of just learning. And then I was having a conversation with a friend, she's like, but I just love learning. I was like, well, you're applying any of it. And it's like, but I'm loving it. And so do you think many are stuck in that cycle as well?
I think you have to, we have part, we can get stuck in any cycle, you know, and a thirst for learning is a beautiful thing. But right now, all of us, in my opinion, should be inquiring as to how how can the states of bliss we can reach in meditation, or the profound knowledge that we can learn from an ancient practice, or the magic of a medicine journey, how can this show up in our physical realities? Because that, anything that can help that, is you being of service right now. And it does take time for it to show up in the physical. That is the kind of hard, you know, that's the embodiment essentially. And but if you want to be of service, that in my opinion, that's how we can make the things that bring us joy and the things that we love to do really count in this time. And you know, between us, we've got to perform some miracles. If you look at the collective situation right now, it's going to take a miracle effort on all of our parts. And yet it's possible. and our commitment in a way to life is to make it more beautiful. And that when we don't bring it to life, then we're not giving back to all that life gives us. And so what can we do to make it more beautiful? And I think as well, you know, the other way that the work really shows up is, like you said at the beginning, when you do the work, what you release inside yourself is energy. And then you start to be able to do things that you couldn't do before. And that's brilliant. You know, that it's like we've got this perception that you age and you lose your energy. But when you're doing the work, I find that you gain energy.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the work. You know, and obviously life is still cyclical. You're still going to end, hopefully, in the winter age of your life. But the gaining of energy is, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's been my experience. Like the amount of energy, I didn't think this, you know, before I went on this journey, I didn't think you could have this amount of energy. I didn't think it was actually possible to hold this. And yeah, it's like cleansing out. You're doing everything you said, everything you kind of teach on the body love course, but another layer of that. But yeah, it does. It's quite surprising how much you can hold, and yeah, it's magical. And so let's go back to your channeling. So obviously that's been a big part of your life. And so was there a key moment in your channeling journey that just really was magical that stands out? Or all of it is?
You know, I think channeling adds magic to your life. And for me, I never get tired. I you know, I was doing a one-to-one yesterday. I've done so many one-to-ones, and I was just saying what I was seeing, and I was telling her, and then she was saying back to me how relevant it all was. And my system still gets so excited, and I'm like, oh, it's like magic's real, you know? And so I think channeling makes magic real. And there have definitely been significant moments over many years. And I feel like I could tell so many. I don't even know where to begin, but maybe I'll share one of the moments that is connected to body love, actually, and connected to that first question that you asked. So one of the ceremonies that I hold is a ceremony called Held in Prayer. And it's like a prayer relay where you take it in turns to keep a prayer going for 48 hours, or in lockdown we did a 6-week prayer nonstop. And what's beautiful about it is you cannot do it by yourself. You cannot do a 48-hour prayer by yourself. You have to be in co-creation and prayer and heart oneness with others. We were doing this in-person held in prayer, 24-hour held in prayer at Buddha Field, which is a really beautiful festival in the UK. And my prayer was in the middle of the night, and it was storming, and I was alone in this prayer space. And I always channel my prayers, and I would say they're kind of a combination of my heart and my higher self, and a transmission of the actual field rather than guides. But I found myself describing something that I'd never heard of before, which was the description of the age of reflection. And I didn't know it then, as you never know with channeling, but that really was my initiation into what then became a lot of what channeled through in body love is because of that particular heart opening that I experienced in that prayer moment. And then the next thing that happened, and this is truly amazing to me, is we were on top of the tour on the 999 at sunrise doing land tantra, and my guides were guiding me to bring in a code for the age of reflection. And by this point I'd been channeling about the age of reflection, you know, since that prayer moment. But what was so amazing to me is sometimes when you're channeling the land as well as guides, it's like you have this view of the collective that is like it's like a different viewpoint. And I was viewing the collective. I was like seeing the collective, and I was being shown that in the age of separation, which is the age of Pisces, the last 2000 years, war, I was being shown that war was necessary, which from a human point of view is completely, you know, your human judgment goes, what? How can war be necessary? But what I was being shown is that in separation, everything is separated. And so it's very hard for the soul to get into the physical. And that the only passage between the physical and the ethereal was grief, which is love that goes beyond reality, right? And so I was being shown that in the age of separation, war, it was how Gaia's soul kept circulating through the physical. It's how the earth stayed sentient in a way, because there was this constant need for grief. And then what I was seeing was that when the masculine and the feminine energies, which in the age of separation had to be separated, it was the age of separation. When they come together, the masculine being electric and the feminine being magnetic, what you get is reflection. You get like a mirror-like energy. And I was being shown that that mirror-like energy means that war is no longer necessary, because it's another route for the soul to get in. It just wasn't available in separation. And as you can imagine, I am losing my shit.
Yeah.
Crying my eyes out, being like, how am I seeing this? Trying to digest it. And why it was so special is it was the first time that, like, I truly believed that peace was going to be possible. After so many peace prayers, it was the first time that I was like, oh no, I can actually see that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
And what's been amazing is, you know, whilst I think we're very far away from peace, less than a month after the 999, there is more talks and movement towards peace than we've had for some time on the collective level. And so, and whilst I think that we've got a long way to go, everything deserves to be celebrated, and everything deserves, every movement towards peace, no matter how questionable in the collective, absolutely needs to be energized as much as the things that are challenging peace. And so, you know, that for me, I have many magical, fun stories, but those moments are the moments where your heart changes forever.
Mm.
Those are the moments where your coding is changed. And they're moments of, I would say they're moments of forgiveness and rapture, and where you're given a viewpoint that liberates you from our reality, and yet also humbles you right into. And for me, they're the reason to chant. Even though it's so fun to speak to spirit and have the synchronicity and the unicorns and the rainbows, and the reason to channel is to evolve our consciousness.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. And I think, you know, channeling's just been something that I never thought I would do. I always like watched other people channel, and when I started channeling, I every day I started to practice, and you just start to trust, and your ego gets out of the way, and there's all different types of like channeling. Like what kind of channel are you? Are you, because there's so many different out there.
So I teach many different types of channeling. And the way that I teach channeling is I really teach the mechanics. So it's very like, people call it like boot camp of channeling. It's like, we are going to work out. and so I do more than one type of channeling, basically. I do something called direct voice channeling, which is when the guides, it's like halfway between third eye and trance channeling. It's when the guides are using your voice. I also do something called transmission channeling, which is when the guides are using your entire chakric system to transmit. I do something called trans shamanism channeling, which is when a group of guides that are not normally in oneness bring themselves into oneness to deliver a collective message of their combined wisdom. Those are three. I do many types of channeling, and to be honest, I just roll with it. I go with whatever type of channeling is needed at the time. It's dependent on the guides and the process and the people that are there. And it's, again, that fluency just comes from I do the training that I teach everyone every year, because it's how I develop. And so I've just done a lot of practice of many different types of channeling, and so I'm very fluent in them now. But all of it is muscular rather than a special talent.
Would you say that, you know, there's, when you started your channeling journey, that, you know, there was a certain, you had to like do certain practices before you channeled, like you couldn't have like, I don't know, like a takeaway before, and you know, like junk food beforehand because it would distort it, or, you know, is there certain things you'd have to do beforehand? It might change now.
So I don't think there is, my rule with channeling is, if you wouldn't do it driving, don't do it channeling.
Yeah.
But otherwise, actually, you're not so effective. You know, channeling, the health of your body affects everything. And so, of course, if you are unhealthy, your energy level is going to be lower. If your energy level is going to be lower, your channeling isn't going to be as good. At the same time, we have the gift of channeling partly for emergencies. So our ancestors, before Google, our ancestors used to be like, something is on fire, what do we do? Let's ask spirit. And so actually there isn't really any rule. Like everybody can channel. You can eat the worst food in the world and still be able to channel. You could actually drink loads and still be able to channel. I just wouldn't recommend it because it's dangerous. But like there is nothing stopping your system from being able to channel. If you are a human being, your right to channeling is the same as your right to breathing.
Yeah.
And so there isn't really anything required outside of you in terms of being able to channel. What is required is practice in a way that is aligned, preparation, and in a way even the preparation is an action. How I teach it on the channeling course, I'm like, it's a bit like the seatbelt in the car. Most of the time you don't need it. But the one time you do, you're going to be glad you were wearing it, you know? But more than anything, what's required, and this was how I woke up to channeling. So I started to meet channels, particularly my dear friends Solara and Ra, and I was like, I want to do that. That is cool. And I was begging. Solara teaches channeling, but at the time she wasn't teaching, and I was begging her to teach me, and she was like, no. And then she was like, I'm not teaching it again. I don't want to teach it anymore. And in her book, she talked about a book called Opening to Channel. And so I'd wanted to channel for a year. I ordered this book, and then before the book arrived, my channel just opened up and I could channel.
Yeah.
And for me, what that taught me was that really we just have to commit to wanting to do it. You know, we have to say yes. And then when we've said yes, and then after that, if you want to get good at it and be in your power and your mastery of it, you absolutely do need to practice. You know, otherwise you never quite trust it, you know. If you want to get to the point where you can just do it whenever and know that you're aligned and you flip between different types of channeling and all of that, then you've got to practice that. As far as I know, there is no other way other than dedication and really loving the practice, you know.
Yeah, and I was like that. I was like, people were doing light language. I was like, that's cool. I love that. I want to do that. And then I was doing light language. I was like, okay, great. So I think you just state it, declare it, and then you open yourself up and it'll happen. So what's been your process of like really discerning the information that's come through? And because I've had experiences where this information there's something not quite right.
I mean, there is you know, no channel is 100% clear, I will say that. Like, especially when you are channeling for yourself. Would you perform a surgery on yourself? Like sometimes we need to go to somebody else because we're just not going to be neutral, you know, our ego or our personality self isn't going to let us be a clear channel. And even when we're channeling for someone else, my guides say that, you know, if you imagine that Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath are both translating a Lorca poem, one of them's going to call the moon, the other one's going to call the moon Luna. And the channel is actually picked for the message because of their translation being the right translation for that message. And so you are part, you are never not part of the channeling, you know? And this is where I'm deeply passionate about the importance of the heart, because our heart is our integrity. When we are channeling and feeling love and our heart is open, our heart is how we discern. It is the center of what is right and wrong for us. And B, when the channeling is coming through the heart and coming through love, it's as close to the beloved as it can be.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you will always, you know, part of life is also having tests. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you get given messages that you're meant to say no to.
Yeah, I felt this energy came through as training for me to discern.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good lesson. I passed the test, so it was good.
And you know, nothing is ever a test to harm you. Nothing is. The universe is immensely loving, immensely loving. But the strengthening of our discernment is part of that love, and part of, you know, just in the same way that the dirt builds the immune system. You know, the exposure to things builds your immune system.
And you, I just wanted to touch on this because you have Mary Magdalene come into your courses, and I've done the Mary Magdalene course you did a few years ago, which was amazing. And she was really present in Body Love as well. So what's your connection with her? Is she like, does she guide you on the courses as well, or how's that connection play out?
She overlights a lot of Starlight. She overlights the channeling course, the Call of the Magdalene. She overlighted Body. She's present a lot, and you know, I often describe Starlight Temple as a feminine temple. So we have men and we have priesty, two spirit people, but the majority of people that come to Starlight are women. And the majority of what Starlight teaches is of the ancient mystery school and of the divine feminine laws, and is dedicated to feminine magic. And for me, Mary Magdalene, she's so important in our collective feminine story, because her story is our story. And the suppression of her, and then the reinstating of her as apostle, and all of the knowledge that got suppressed, the Cathar knowledge, it and the suppression of the you know, the feminine of Christ, the counterpart. This is so integral to the rebalancing of the planet, and the living story of Mary Magdalene. That is still evolving now. It is our collective feminine story, particularly of our life force and our magic and our power. And so I feel there are some Isis as well, and there are some goddesses that are present in the feminine temple and feminine template. over and over and over again. And Mary Magdalene is one of them.
Yeah, well, I channeled her when I went to Croatia like a week ago, and it was so powerful. And she was talking about the divine feminine rising and, connecting with our sexual energy. And she, at the end, she was saying, our divine feminine power, and it'd been raining that afternoon, and so it was a bit of a cloudy day. As she said, the divine feminine power, this huge roar of thunder went off, and I just kind of like, was that thunder? And it was so surreal, and that was the only one. It was just that one. I was like, thank you, Mary. It was so proud. I was crying after. A friend was crying. It was real because she was connected in with her around that land. But yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? And she said about exactly that. Like, her story has been hidden and suppressed, and now it's, yeah, it's the rising of that, and that coming out. So yeah, beautiful. I was wondering if you are open to maybe do a channel and see if the guides have a message, maybe a short message at all.
I would love to. I'm a little bit short of time.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
But let's see what comes through in a short amount of time. So I am of the light. I am of the earth. I'm open and expanded. I'm divinely protected. And I ask for the guidance that is in the highest good and greatest joy of all. To flow through me now. Star mothers, speak now. And we speak of the importance of sexual energy at this time. For whilst it has been shared so beautifully and so eloquently about the importance of energy body practices, we will say that in many ways, many of you and those of you that are listening to this right now have already exercised your energy bodies and intelligence bodies to places of excellence, which is why you are able to talk of consciousness in this way and are finding channeling to be something easy and enjoyable. Where there is a disparity is that for most of you, the sexual energy in terms of velocity, in terms of fitness, in terms of magical fluency is lagging behind. And in terms of manifesting the new earth, in terms of embodying, the sexual energy is the energy that holds the frequency. That create the new earth. we say to you that for those of you that want to be of service to the new cycle, those of you that are longing to help the physical embodiment, it is time to start asking for support and trainings and teachings that raise your sexual energy intelligence and bring you into greater states of pleasure and fluency. An embodied power for manifestation in particular. For we say it is absolutely necessary for the sexual energy to evolve and recircuit within you in order for you to be able to manifest the new earth. For now, we will say that simply considering even a basic ritual for pleasure is enough to get the ball rolling and the juices flowing. And pleasure should be practiced in exactly the same way that meditation and ritual and inner work is being exercised. And they're showing me that for those of you that are interested, actually the most basic pleasure practice I know that came out of Body Love Soul Code is just to spend 5 minutes a day at the start and the end of the day touching, giving yourself loving touch. And this isn't of the genitals, it's practicing giving and receiving, so that which is love, because when you're touching yourself in a pleasurable way on your hands, on your face, on your hair, what you're doing is you're waking up that system of the flow of giving and receiving, which is the pleasure system. And most of us have this system very, very dormant, sometimes switched off. And in this message and download, they're really showing me that it's that is one of up leveling. That is absolutely key to being able to manifest all that the third eye is able to reach and visualize. Body has to practice holding the new frequencies. So that's really good practice.
Yeah.
And then asking, the teachers will come, the tantric practices will come.
Yeah, I love that. That was great to have that at the end of the course as well, because we had to get into safety at the beginning to be able to be in that place where we could do that practice, which is beautiful. Oh, thank you for that, and thank you guys for your message. And yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Khareela. Honestly, I've got so many more questions, so maybe we'll do a part 2.
Oh, I would love to do a part 2. And
Yeah,
thank you so
honestly.
much. I've loved this interview. It's really, you can really feel how much wisdom and heart energy and soul code magic you are bringing into this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just magical that I get to be around people like yourself and just extract everything that you've learned to share it basically, because I know I learned so much. So I hope this has really helped many of you, and you've got some insight and inspiration. And yeah, please do like and subscribe and comment, and share this out with anybody who you think is going to help with the practices. It's been shared. Get grounding first thing you do in the morning as well. And thanks everybody for being here, and have a blessed day.
Thank you.